Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, and the title today is Height Requirement. Let's move on to language focus. 일본. But one university in Vietnam has a more surprising criterion. You have to be at a certain height to get into its business school. So as you can see, I've highlighted you have to be 뭐뭐뭐뭐 to 뭐뭐뭐. So let's have a look here. Use you have to to explain an action that is required in order to do something. So you have to 무엇을 하기 위해 해야 하는 것. Very simple. Now in between here, what do you have to do? You have to do this in order to do this. So if we look at our first example, you have to review what you have studied to remember it. 공부한 내용을 복습해야 기억할 수 있습니다. Or you have to learn a new alphabet to read Arabic. 아랍어를 읽으려면 새로운 알파벳 배워야 합니다. So, like I said, in order to do something. 무엇을 하기 위해 해야 하는 것. It's very simple, that one. So more examples are like you have to study hard to get into a good university. Or you have to train hard to become a professional athlete. You have to eat healthy to lose weight, etc., etc., etc. Okay, 2번. Ho Chi Minh, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam's first president, was 165 centimeters tall, barely meeting the minimum. Okay, so we're looking at the word barely now. So use barely to express that an action very nearly does not take place or that a condition is narrowly met. barely. 간신히 겨우 거의 아니게 없이. Okay, so if we have a look at our example. Churin barely graduated from high school, but he did really well at university. So 투란은 겨우 고등학교를 졸업했지만 대학교에서는 성적이 좋았습니다. Okay, or I could barely hear what Agnes said because the room was so noisy. 방이 너무 시끄러워서 아그네스가 하는 말을 거의 들을 수 없었습니다. Alright. So now let's look at the language focus quiz. 1번. You have to learn to So remember, if we go up to the top, you have to blah 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 to blah 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 무엇을 하기 위해 해야 하는 것. So you have to learn to crawl, to eventually walk. So 결국 걷기 위해서는 걷는 법을 배워야 합니다. You have to get let's say you have to work hard to get to the top. So 정상에 오르기 위해서는 열심히 노력해야 합니다. Alright, moving on to barely. So remember, barely was to use the to express that an action very nearly does not take place, or that a condition is just narrowly met. So barely, 간신히, 겨우, 거의 아니게, or 없이. Okay, so barely escaped from let's say they barely escaped from the tornado. 그들은 회오리 바람에서 간신히 피했습니다. Or barely knows let's say she barely knows him and they are already thinking about getting married. 그녀는 그를 거의 알지 못하지만 이미 결혼을 생각하고 있습니다. Alright, now let's move on to the further discussion. 1번. What do you know about Ho Chi Minh? How is his reputation in your country? 호치민에 대해 무엇을 알고 있나요? 한국에서, 우리나라에서, 호주에서 등등등 wherever you're learning from. 그의 명성은 어떤가요? I don't know too much about Ho Chi Minh. I don't know, I was really interested in the Vietnam War growing up. I love war history. And the Vietnam War was one of the wars that I was very interested in. But I didn't really study too much about Ho Chi Minh, which is stupid because I believe that he was... Correct me if I'm wrong, which you can't, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Ho Chi Minh was the dictator of North Vietnam at the time? I think it was North Vietnam was the bad guys and South Vietnam was the good guys. So, yes, he was the prime minister. That's how much I know. He's also called Uncle Ho or Uncle by other people in the country. But yes, he was a prime minister of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, now known as Vietnam. I don't know exactly where he's a part of a communist party. So yes, I think that I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I think he might have been a bad guy. Yeah, I didn't know too much about Ho Chi Minh, and his reputation and career, I'm sure, is not fantastic because I don't hear them talk very much about Ho Chi Minh. Not many. How many Koreans served in the Vietnam War? How many Koreans served in Vietnam? So 320,000 South Koreans actually served in Vietnam. That's a lot of Korean troops. More than 5,000 South Koreans died with more than 10,000 injured. So that's not bad statistics. I mean, 5,000 people died, but 320,000 people went in. Alright, moving on to 2번. Do you think you have ever judged someone differently because of their height? If so, give details. 상대방의 키 때문에 다르게 판단한 적이 있다고 생각하세요? 그렇다면 자세히 설명해 주세요. I don't think I've ever judged someone by their height. I usually judge someone by just their overall appearance. Their height isn't really anything I take into consideration. I'll always make a first impression of somebody just based on the whole appearance. But height is something I don't really care about. Like if someone's short or someone's tall, I'm not like, oh, you're short or you're tall, so therefore you must be this person. But I do sort of, depending on the mood that I get from them, I do judge them on that. But definitely not height, because I think height, I'm not that tall in Australia. I'm tall here in Korea, but not that tall in Australia. Most of my friends are taller than me in Australia. But in Korea, Koreans are not known for being very tall at one point. So I don't really think about height as a factor when it comes to judging people. And I do judge people. I think it's just natural for people to judge people, but not because of their height. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's class, and I'll see you on the next class.
Criterion.
Criterion.
Shy of.
Shy of.
Exclude.
Exclude.
Nonsensical.
Nonsensical.
perceive,
perceive,
equalizer,
equalizer,